Let me ask you something. How many years of your life have already slipped through your fingers, years you can never get back? Be honest. How many mornings have you woken up saying, tomorrow I'll start, and tomorrow never came? How many times have you let fear, excuses, or distractions rob you of the life you were meant to live? I want you to feel this truth right now because the clock is ticking. Every single day, you're either moving closer to the life you want, drifting further away into regret. There is no middle ground. The scary part, most people don't even realize they're wasting years until it's too late. They wake up one day, look in the mirror, and wonder, did my life go? I'm here to shake you, to wake you up, and to tell you the hard truth. You don't have time to waste. Not one more day, not one more year. Because the price of delay is your future. But here's the good news. The same way you've wasted years, you can reclaim them. You can compress decades into days. You can make a decision today that will change everything. And in this message, I'm going to give you the exact keys to stop wasting your life and finally live it with urgency, purpose, and power. So I want you to lean in. I want you to open your mind, because what you hear in the next few minutes can save you from a lifetime of regret and give you back the years that matter most. Most people live as if time is this endless resource, as if they've got forever to get around to the things that actually matter. But let me tell you something that might sting a little. You don't. You don't have forever. You have a limited number of breaths, a limited number of mornings to wake up, limited number of chances to love, to give, to build, to create. And every single day that passes, every single hour that you let slip by without intention is gone. You don't get it back. Now here's the problem. Live in a world that numbs us into believing time is cheap. Think about it. You scroll for hours on your phone. You binge through shows for entire weekends. You keep saying you'll start the business. You'll fix the relationship. You'll take care of your health later. And later becomes months. Later becomes years. Then one day you look back and realize that all those laters added up to a life half lived. That's the painful truth. Time doesn't ask your permission. It just moves. And here's the thing. Most people don't wake up until something shocks them awake. Maybe it's the death of someone close. Maybe it's a health scare. Maybe it's hitting rock bottom financially. Something finally slaps them in the face and makes them realize, damn, I've been sleepwalking through my own life. But why should we wait for pain to wake us up? Why should we wait until the doctor gives us the bad news, until the opportunity has already passed, to suddenly get serious about how we spend our time? You've got to make the decision now to stop living like you've got an unlimited balance in the bank of time. You've got to start living like every second matters, because it does. Let me put this in perspective. If I handed you 86,400 every single morning and I told you, here's the catch, you have to spend it all today. If you don't, it's gone. You don't get to roll it over. How intentional would you be with that money? You'd make sure not a single dollar went to waste. You'd plan, you'd invest, you'd prioritize. You wouldn't throw it away. And yet every single day, life gives you 86,400 seconds, and most people throw them away as if they mean nothing. It's time to wake up. Time is not just something you manage. Time is the fabric of your life. It's the most valuable thing you'll ever own. You can lose money and earn it back. You can lose opportunities and create new ones. But once a moment is gone, it is gone forever. And deep down, you know this. That's why regret hurts so much. Regret is the echo of wasted time. So how do you break this pattern? First, you've got to get brutally honest with yourself. Where are you wasting time right now? What are the things you do every single day that aren't serving your future? Don't sugarcoat it. Don't justify it. Face it, because nothing changes until you get real. Maybe you're spending hours gossiping, scrolling, living in distractions that make you feel busy but produce nothing. Maybe you've convinced yourself you don't have time to pursue your dreams. If we tracked your days, we'd see you leaking time everywhere. Own it, because when you own it, you can change it. Next, you need urgency. Without urgency, nothing shifts. Think about it when someone tells you the deadline is 6 months away. You wait. The deadline is tomorrow. Suddenly, you move mountains. The truth is, your life has a deadline. You just don't see it. You don't know the date on it. And because you don't know, you act like it doesn't exist. But it does. When you start living as if today actually matters, because it does, you stop wasting the hours that you'll one day wish you could have back. And let's be real, it's not about cramming more things into your calendar. It's not about being busy. Most people mistake busy for progress. No, it's about making sure the way you spend your time aligns with the life you actually want. Because what's the point of filling your days with noise, with activity that leads nowhere? You've got to ask yourself, if I keep living the way I'm living right now, where will I end up in 5 years, 10 years? That answer should either excite you or scare the hell out of you. If it excites you, keep going. If it terrifies you, thank God you realized it now, because now you can change direction before another 5 years slip away. I want you to imagine right now that you're at the end of your life, sitting in a chair, looking back on everything. Would you give in that moment for just one more day, one more chance to love harder, to laugh louder, to go after the dreams you kept shelving? What would you give for just 24 more hours? And here's the kicker. You already have it. You have it today. You have it right now. But the difference between most people and those who live extraordinary lives is this: extraordinary people treat today as if it's their last shot. They squeeze everything out of it. They don't wait. They don't coast. They live with urgency, with passion, with clarity. You've got to decide to be one of those people. You've got to look at your life and say, no more. I'm done wasting my time. I'm done sleepwalking. I'm done acting like I've got forever. From this moment on, every day counts. Every hour counts. Every choice counts. Because if you don't make that decision, the years will keep slipping silently, invisibly. And one day, you'll wake up and realize you've been alive for decades, but haven't really lived. The truth is, you don't need more time. You need to value the time you already have. You need to treat it like the treasure it is. You need to protect it from the thieves of distraction, fear, procrastination, and excuses. Because if you don't, they'll steal your future right out from under you. So stop waiting for tomorrow. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the stars to align. The clock is ticking, and the only moment you can control is this one. This is your life right here, right now. Don't waste it. Comfort is seductive. It feels safe. It feels familiar. It's warm, predictable, and easy. Here's the truth most people don't want to face. Comfort is also the silent killer of dreams. Comfort doesn't take your life all at once. It robs you one day at a time. It convinces you that tomorrow is just as good as today, that staying where you are is fine, that nothing is urgent. And before you know it, months pass, then years, and you're in the exact same place, only older, only heavier with regret. You see, the comfort zone has a trick. It disguises itself as safety. In reality, it's stagnation. It convinces you that staying put is protecting you, when in truth, it's slowly destroying you. If you look back on your life, the moments that defined you, the moments you're proud of, they didn't come from comfort. They came from the times you pushed yourself, when you risked, when you stepped into the unknown and stretched beyond what you thought you were capable of. That's where growth lives. That's where life is. Let's be real. Stepping out of comfort isn't easy. It's terrifying. Your brain is wired to keep you safe, and safe often means familiar, even if familiar is destroying you. That's why people stay in jobs they hate for decades. That's why people stay in relationships they know are toxic. That's why people say they want change but keep repeating the same cycles. Because comfort feels easier than courage. But easier doesn't equal better. Easier doesn't equal fulfilled. Easier doesn't equal alive. Here's the pattern I've seen again and again. People tell themselves they're not ready yet. I'll start when I feel more confident. I'll take the leap when I save a little more money. Put myself out there when I have more time. Let me tell you the truth. You'll never feel ready. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes after. Courage doesn't come before the leap. It's built in the leap. Waiting to feel ready is just another disguise of the comfort zone keeping you trapped. And let me ask you this, how many dreams have died because of the words, not yet? How many ideas were never born? How many talents never developed? How many lives never changed because someone was waiting for the perfect moment? There is no perfect moment. The perfect moment is the one you decide to step forward in right now, even with fear in your chest and uncertainty in your mind. The comfort zone also has another dangerous trick. It rewards you in the short term while it robs you in the long term. You skip the workout and you feel relief right now. You avoid the tough conversation and you feel safe right now. You procrastinate on your dream and you get to relax right now, but then the long-term bill comes due and it's always more painful because the body breaks down, the relationship decays, the dream fades. Suddenly you realize that the short-term comfort came at the cost of long-term fulfillment. The opposite is also true. Growth feels uncomfortable in the short term but pays you for a lifetime. That workout hurts today. It gives you health and energy tomorrow. That difficult conversation may sting now, but it creates honesty and freedom later. Taking a step toward your dream may be terrifying now, but it will give you a future worth living. Comfort gives you nothing lasting. Growth gives you everything that matters. So how do you break free? You make discomfort your new standard. You condition yourself to do the things that scare you, that stretch you, that force you to rise. You train your brain to realize that the feelings you're trying to avoid, fear, nervousness, uncertainty, those are not signs you should stop. They're signs you're growing. That's your compass. If it scares you, it's probably the direction you need to move in. You want to know what's really scary? Staying in the same place for the next 5 years, waking up 10 years from now and realizing you wasted a decade living at half your potential. That's terrifying. Fear isn't the enemy. Fear is feedback. Fear is showing you where you need to go. The real enemy is comfort. Comfort whispers in your ear and says, stay here. Don't risk. Don't try. Don't stretch. And if you listen to that voice, you end up with the most painful feeling of all, regret. Think about the people you admire. They're not the ones who played it safe. They're not the ones who hid from risk, who settled for comfort. They're the ones who stepped into the unknown and faced the fear anyway. They're the ones who used discomfort as fuel. They're the ones who kept growing when everyone else stayed the same. And here's the secret. They didn't have more courage than you. They didn't have more opportunity than you. They just decided they weren't going to let comfort dictate their future. Every single time you choose growth over comfort, you expand, you become more. You strengthen your identity, you begin to trust yourself at a deeper level because you've proven you can handle more than you thought. And with every step outside the comfort zone, the world opens up to you in ways you never imagined. New opportunities, new relationships, new levels of joy and fulfillment. It all lives on the other side of that line you've been afraid to cross. So let me ask you right now, Where in your life are you stuck in comfort? Have you been putting off because it's easier not to face it? What dream have you been suppressing because it feels safer not to fail? What conversation have you avoided? What decision have you delayed? Because those are the exact places you're wasting years of your life. And if you don't break free, nothing changes. You've got to decide to step out. Not next week, not when it's convenient, not when you feel like it, now. Right now. Because the moment you choose growth over comfort, you reclaim your power, you reclaim your time, you reclaim your future. The comfort zone may feel safe, but it's a prison dressed up as paradise. The day you stop settling for comfort is the day you start living free. Everybody talks about time management like it's the ultimate key to success. People obsess over calendars, apps, productivity hacks, and color-coded schedules. Let me tell you the truth, time management is worthless if you don't know how to manage your energy, because you can have the same 24 hours as anyone else, but if you're exhausted, if your mind is foggy, if your emotions are drained, hours are wasted. The clock may keep ticking, but you're not moving. And that's why some people work for years and stay stuck, while others compress decades into months, because they know how to direct their energy. Think about it. Have you ever had one of those days where technically you had the whole day free, plenty of time to get things done, but you accomplished nothing? You were drained, distracted, maybe even irritated, and the day slipped through your fingers. Now compare that to a day where you woke up energized, clear, driven. You probably got more done in 3 hours than most people do in a week. What was the difference? Not time, energy. Energy is the real currency of achievement. Energy isn't just physical. It's mental, emotional, even spiritual. If you've ever dragged yourself to a task you hated, you know how heavy and slow it feels. If you've ever been passionate about something, you know how time disappears and hours feel like minutes. That's the power of energy. It magnifies everything. It turns effort into momentum and momentum into results. Without it, even the best strategies in the world collapse. Now, here's the part most people don't want to admit. They're not living at low energy because life drained them. They're living at low energy because of the choices they make every single day. The late night scrolling, the food that numbs instead of fuels, the lack of movement, the toxic people they allow into their space, the excuses they feed themselves. It all chips away at their energy. And then they wonder why they feel stuck. They're not stuck because they don't have time. They're stuck because they don't have energy to use the time they've got. You've got to make a decision to protect your energy like your life depends on it. Because it does. Energy is what determines how you show up for your family, your work, your dreams, yourself. If you're drained, you show up at half strength in every area. And that's where the waste happens. That's how people lose years. Not because they didn't have the hours, but because they didn't have the energy to make those hours matter. Let's talk about physical energy first, because your body is the foundation of everything. You can't live your highest life in a body that's constantly depleted. Your physiology dictates your psychology. Try standing tall, breathing deep, moving with power. It changes your state instantly. And the opposite is true slouch. Breathe shallow, barely move. You signal your brain to feel weak and tired. Too many people sabotage their own energy through neglect. They fuel themselves with junk, avoid exercise, and treat rest like it's optional. And then they wonder why they can't find the motivation to move forward. Your body is not optional, it's the engine. You've got to take care of it if you want the energy to actually use your time. But it's not just about the body. Mental and emotional energy matter just as much. You can be in perfect physical condition, but if your mind is consumed with fear, worry, and self-doubt, you're drained. If you surround yourself with people who constantly complain, criticize, pull you down, you're drained. If you replay the same negative stories in your head, you're drained. That's why protecting your environment is non-negotiable. Because whether you realize it or not, either being charged or drained every single day by the voices, environments, and thoughts you allow in. So what's the shift? It's deciding to become intentional about your energy. It's realizing that energy isn't something you wait for. It's something you create. You don't sit around hoping to feel motivated. You move your body, you shift your focus. You put yourself in a state that generates energy. You don't wait until you feel good to take action. You take action to feel good. Energy isn't a gift. It's a practice. And here's the key. Once you master energy, time multiplies. Think about it. If you're exhausted, it might take you 8 hours to do something you could have done in 2 if you were at peak energy. That means energy mastery doesn't just improve your results, it literally gives you years back. Years, because while others are dragging themselves slowly through life, you're moving with intensity, focus, clarity. You collapse timelines. You do in months what takes others a decade. That's not magic, that's energy. Now, let's be honest, this isn't about perfection. Nobody's gonna feel unstoppable 24/7. But if you raise your standard, if you decide that low energy is no longer acceptable as your default, you can shift everything. Maybe it means you start moving your body daily. Maybe it means you cut the food that leaves you sluggish. Maybe it means you eliminate the people who drain your spirit. Maybe it means you rewire the story you tell yourself every morning. Each of those choices adds up. Each of those choices either fuels you or bleeds you. I want you to remember this, Time doesn't guarantee progress, energy does. 2 people can live the same 80 years, but one is alive, vibrant, growing, creating, loving fully, while the other is just existing, just dragging themselves through the days. Same time, different energy, That's the difference between a wasted life and a fulfilled one. So stop obsessing over the clock and start obsessing over your state. Stop worrying about whether you have enough hours and start asking whether you're showing up with the energy to make the hours you do have count. Because when you do, when you live in a state of high energy, you stop wasting days, you stop wasting years. You start multiplying what life gives you. Energy is the fuel. Without it, nothing moves. With it, everything accelerates. Protect it, build it, master it because your future depends on it. Excuses are one of the most expensive luxuries in the world. They feel free in the moment, but they end up costing you your future. Every time you let yourself off the hook with an excuse, you trade progress for comfort. You trade possibility for mediocrity. You trade years of your life for nothing. Here's the crazy part. People defend their excuses as if they're protecting their identity. They say, I can't because I don't have the money. I can't because I don't have the time. I can't because of where I came from. I can't because I'm too young, too old, too late, too early. And the truth is, none of that is the real reason. The real reason is they've lowered their standards of what they expect from themselves. Excuses are easy. Standards are hard. Excuses give you a reason to stay the same. Standards demand that you rise. Excuses feel good in the moment because they relieve you of responsibility. Standards make you uncomfortable because they force you to take ownership. That's the dividing line between people who waste years of their life and people who build a life they're proud of. One group lets excuses rule their decisions. The other group sets standards that refuse to tolerate less than what they're capable of. Let me give you an example. Two people face the exact same challenge. One says, I can't do this because it's too hard. The other says, it's hard. My standard is that I don't quit until I find a way. Which one creates progress? Which one builds confidence? Which one earns results? It's not the one who chooses excuses. It's the one who holds a higher standard. You know this in your own life. Think about the times you grew the most. It wasn't when you made excuses. It was when you raised your standards. Maybe it was when you said, I'm done tolerating this weight, getting healthy. Maybe it was when you said, I'm done with this toxic relationship. I deserve better. Maybe it was when you said, I'm done being broke. I'm going to create financial freedom. The moment you raised your standard, everything changed because the moment you raise your standard, excuses stop being an option. The problem is most people don't realize how low their standards have become. They've normalized mediocrity. They've gotten used to being tired, broke, fulfilled, distracted. They think it's just life. But it's not life. It's the standard they've settled for. And here's the dangerous thing. The longer you live with low standards, the more comfortable you get with them. Before you know it, 10 years go by and you've built a life that's nowhere near what you were capable of. The difference between people who transform their lives and people who waste them is not opportunity, it's standards. Because opportunities will always come and go, but your standards determine what you do when they show up. If your standard is, I do whatever it takes, you'll find a way. If your standard is, I'll try if it's convenient, you'll find an excuse. One creates momentum, the other creates regret. Let's be real for a second. Excuses are seductive. They make you feel safe. They give you something to blame. They even sound reasonable. But deep down, you know they're lies. And the longer you live by lies, the further you drift from who you were meant to be. On the other hand, standards can feel brutal at first. They demand discipline, sacrifice, consistency. They don't let you off the hook. But standards give you freedom. They free you from regret, from wasted time, from the pain of knowing you could have done more. The truth is, your standards shape your identity. Every time you accept an excuse, you reinforce the identity of someone who settles. Every time you push past an excuse and uphold your standard, you reinforce the identity of someone who's unstoppable. Identity isn't built in grand moments. It's built in the small choices you make every day, and those choices either chain you to your excuses or elevate you to your standards. So the real question is, what are you tolerating in your life right now that you know is beneath you? Excuses are you repeating to yourself that sound convincing but are keeping you small? And what would change if instead of excusing yourself, you demanded more from yourself? If instead of saying, I'll try, you said, I must. Because when something becomes a must, your brain finds a way. When something is just a should, it gets lost in the noise. Imagine for a moment if you raised your standards in every area of your life. Imagine if your standard for your health was that you feel strong, vibrant, and energetic every single day. Imagine if your standard for your relationships was love, honesty, and depth, not just convenience. Imagine if your standard for your work was impact, passion, and excellence, not just a paycheck. What kind of life would that create, and what kind of years would you stop wasting if you lived by those standards? The people who achieve extraordinary lives are not lucky. They're not chosen. They simply decided they would no longer live by excuses. They would live by standards. They decided that good enough was no longer good enough. They decided to hold themselves to a higher level even when no one else was watching. That's the real secret. Standards aren't about impressing the world. They're about demanding more of yourself when no one else is around. Because if you only live up to standards when others are watching, you're performing. When you live up to them in the dark, you're transforming. And here's the beauty of it. Once you raise your standards and refuse excuses, life starts to shift. Suddenly, you attract better people because your energy has changed. Suddenly, You create better opportunities because your actions align with a higher level. Suddenly, you feel more alive because you're no longer betraying yourself with excuses. It doesn't mean life gets easier. It means you get stronger. When you get stronger, life feels different. Excuses steal your time. Standards give it back. Excuses waste your years. Standards multiply your years. Excuses keep you small. Standards reveal your greatness. At the end of the day, you can have results or excuses, but you can't have both. So the decision is simple. Are you going to keep living by the story of your excuses? Are you going to raise your standards and live the life you were born to live? Most people don't waste years of their life because they're lazy. That's a myth. People think laziness is the problem, but it's not. The real problem is distraction. Live in a world that constantly pulls at your attention, hijacks your focus, and convinces you to pour your energy into things that don't matter. Endless scrolling, constant notifications, meaningless arguments, shallow entertainment. It's a trap. The scariest part. Most people don't even realize they're in it. They confuse being busy with being purposeful. They confuse motion with progress. They confuse noise with achievement. Distraction is the thief of purpose. Doesn't take your whole life at once. It takes it one click, one scroll, one wasted day at a time. And before you know it, a month has gone by, a year has gone by, 5 years have gone by. You're still talking about the things you want to do instead of living them. That's the price of distraction. It feels harmless in the moment, but it steals the only thing you'll never get back, time. Purpose, on the other hand, gives meaning to every second. Purpose is the difference between waking up dreading the day and waking up with fire in your chest. Purpose is the difference between dragging yourself through life and pulling life toward you with intention and passion. You live with purpose, distractions lose their grip. When you live with purpose, you don't need motivation because meaning is fuel enough. Purpose is what makes your days matter, and if your days matter, your years matter. Here's the truth. Most people haven't chosen purpose. They've settled for distractions because distractions are easier. Purpose requires clarity, discipline, and courage. Distraction requires nothing but surrender. It's easier to scroll than to build. It's easier to binge than to create. It's easier to complain than to contribute. And yet, every single one of us knows deep down that those easy choices are costing us something far greater. They're costing us the life we're capable of. Think about it. How many hours have you lost to meaningless distractions this week alone? Be honest with yourself. How many times have you picked up your phone to check one thing and suddenly an hour disappeared? How many times have you avoided the hard work of building your future by numbing yourself with the endless noise of other people's lives? That's not laziness. That's distraction pulling you away from your own destiny. Now imagine if you redirected even half of that time and energy into something purposeful. Imagine if the hours you lose scrolling became hours you spent building your skill, nurturing your relationships, improving your health, creating something that matters. Imagine how different your life would look in 1 year, in 5 years, if you traded distractions for purpose. That's the power of alignment. That's the difference between wasting time and investing it. Purpose doesn't mean you have to have everything figured out. Purpose isn't a single job title or a single project. Purpose is about direction. It's about asking yourself, is the way I'm spending my time today aligned with the person I want to become? If the answer is yes, you're on the right track. If the answer is no, then you're bleeding years into distractions that won't mean a thing in the end. Let me tell you this, distraction feels good now, but it always feels empty later. Purpose often feels hard now, but it always feels fulfilling later. That's the trade-off. Distraction gives you the illusion of relief, but leaves you hollow. Purpose asks more of you, but fills you with meaning. Which one do you want your life to be built on? You see, the people who achieve greatness aren't superhuman. They just made a decision that they weren't going to let distraction dictate their life. They chose purpose, even when distraction was easier. They decided their future was worth more than their impulses. And that decision multiplied their time, their energy, their impact. That decision made their years count. But here's the danger. If you don't consciously choose purpose, distraction will choose you. It's not neutral. Every advertisement, every algorithm, every meaningless comfort is designed to steal your attention. And if you don't fight for your focus, if you don't protect it with everything you've got, the world will decide for you how your life is spent. And you'll wake up one day with a heart full of regret, realizing you gave away your years to things that never mattered. So how do you shift? You get clear on your purpose and you let it become your filter. You ask yourself, does this action serve the life I want to create? Does this conversation, this choice, this use of time move me closer to or further from my purpose? And if it doesn't serve it, you cut it, no negotiation. Because every time you say yes to a distraction, you're saying no to your purpose. Every time you say yes to your purpose, you're saying no to a distraction, and this isn't about perfection. You don't need to live like a monk. You don't need to cut out every form of relaxation or fun. But you do need to become radically aware of what matters and what doesn't. Because awareness creates power. Awareness breaks the trance of distraction. Awareness allows you to take your time back. So let me ask you, what's distracting you right now? What's stealing your years? Is it your phone? Is it the people around you? Is it the lies you tell yourself about starting later? And what's the purpose you've been neglecting because of it? Maybe it's the book you've been meaning to write. Maybe it's the business you've been dreaming of starting. Maybe it's your health, your family, your relationships. Whatever it is, you know it, you feel it. And the longer you ignore it, the heavier it gets. You don't get to choose how much time you're given in this life. You do get to choose how much purpose you put into the time you have. And when you fill your days with purpose, you stop wasting years, because every day you live on purpose is a day that builds a life you'll be proud of. So stop letting distraction write your story. Stop letting the noise dictate your future. Choose purpose and let every second of your life be invested in what truly matters. There's a truth most people don't want to face. Life is not a rehearsal. You don't get to press pause, you don't get to rewind, and you sure as hell don't get to repeat it. This is it. This is your one shot. And the tragedy is most people live as if time is infinite. They live as if they've been promised another decade, another year, another day. They put things off, they delay, they procrastinate, they settle, they say, I'll do it later, not realizing that later is the most dangerous word in the human language. You know what's worse than failure? Regret. Failure hurts for a moment, but regret eats you alive forever. And regret doesn't come from the chances you took and missed. It comes from the chances you never took because you thought you had more time. Regret comes from realizing too late that you wasted the most precious resource you'll ever have, the time you were given. Urgency is not about being frantic. It's not about rushing around in a panic. Urgency is about awareness. It's about understanding that your days are numbered and treating each one as sacred, because they are. Urgency is about living with the intensity of someone who knows that this moment is the only guarantee they'll ever have. You bring urgency into your life. You stop waiting for permission. You stop playing small. You stop pushing your dreams into the fog of someday. You act now. You move now. You commit now. That single shift from someday to today can change your entire destiny. Think about it. Every major breakthrough in your life, every moment that changed everything, came from a decision you made in the present. Not next week, next year, not someday, right now. That's the power of urgency. Urgency forces you to decide, and decision is what shapes your future. But here's the reality. Most people live without urgency because they've numbed themselves into believing they'll always have more time. They waste hours, they waste days, they waste years, all while convincing themselves they're just waiting for the right moment. Let me tell you something. There is no right moment. There is no perfect time. There is only now. And if you don't act now, you're just stacking up excuses that will one day turn into regret. Urgency also demands intention, because urgency without direction is just chaos. It's running in circles. Intention is what gives urgency its power. Intention is knowing what matters most, deciding who you want to become, and aligning your actions with that vision. Intention means you don't just wake up and hope the day goes well. You wake up and decide how you're going to shape it. When you combine urgency with intention, you stop wasting years, because suddenly every choice becomes meaningful. Every conversation, every action, every moment becomes a step toward the life you've chosen. You stop drifting and you start steering. You stop reacting and you start creating. And let me tell you, when you live with urgency and intention, people around you feel it. They see the difference in your energy. They sense the fire in you, because urgency is contagious. Intention is magnetic. People are drawn to those who know where they're going and move like time actually matters. You have to be ruthless with yourself. You have to look at your life honestly and ask, how much of my time am I wasting on things that don't matter? How many hours am I spending in distraction, in fear, in hesitation, instead of taking bold steps toward the life I want? And if the answer hurts, good, let it hurt. Let that discomfort fuel your urgency, because that pain is trying to wake you up. You don't get to decide how much time you have. You do get to decide how much life you put into the time you're given. You do get to decide whether your days are filled with empty habits or intentional actions. You do get to decide whether you look back on your life with pride or with regret. Imagine for a moment that the clock stopped today. Imagine that you didn't get another year, another month, another week. Would you be proud of how you spent your time? Would you feel complete knowing you gave everything you had, that you lived with urgency, that you poured your energy into what mattered most? Or would you feel a deep ache of regret knowing you waited, knowing you delayed, knowing you wasted years you can never get back? That's the reality check. That's what urgency demands of you. To stop acting like you're immortal, to stop pretending you have forever, and to start living with the fire of someone who knows their days are precious. Here's the beautiful part. When you truly embrace urgency and intention, you don't just create a better future, you create a better present, because suddenly you're alive in every moment. You're not sleepwalking through your days. You're engaged. You're present. That's the real reward. Not just success later, but fulfillment now. So what does this mean for you? It means no more waiting. No more someday. No more wasting days on autopilot. It means looking at your life right now and asking, what do I need to do today that will make this day count? What action can I take right now that aligns with my deepest purpose? And then doing it, not thinking about it, not planning it to death. Because urgency without action is just anxiety. Intention without execution is just daydreaming. The only way to stop wasting years of your life is to bring urgency and intention into today, into this hour, into this very moment. I'm asking you to decide right here, right now, that you will not waste another second living like you have forever. You don't. You have now. And what you do with now will decide everything. Leave with urgency. Leave with intention. like your life actually matters, because it does.